Trenton 365 with Jacque Howard. Profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
Hello, friend, and welcome to another edition of the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. Welcome to the Trenton 365 Show. You can follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter as well, at Trenton 365. If you're listening over WIMG 1300, you can also follow us over the website, WIMG1300.com. And just for you to know, WIMG is the oldest radio station in the state of New Jersey. And in addition to that, you're watching over WPHY, Channel 25, based out of Mercer County, New Jersey. In the studio with me, I've got two friends, Graham Apgar and Jim Horford. We're going to be talking about a bunch of things relative to Patriots Week, and I'm going to do a lead-in about Patriots Week. It happens every year here in Trenton, New Jersey. It's the week between Christmas and New Year's, and it's a celebration to talk about all the things that have happened in Trenton, New Jersey historically around the Revolutionary War period and George Washington being here and the battles of Trenton. So you can go to the website, or you can just do an internet search for Patriots Week, Trenton, New Jersey, and find out about all the week-long programs that are taking place. Now, to my guests. So I've got Graham Apgar again and Jim Horford, my apologies, who I've known for many years. They're fixtures here in the art community in this region, and they've been doing some amazing things. And we're going to start with Graham. Graham, just a brief introduction to who you are, and thank you for finally making your way to the Trenton 365 show.
Thank you for having me.
And Graham, why don't you give a little background about who you are, what brought you to Trenton, and some of the projects that you're working on or have worked on.
Well, I'm just a normal guy who happened to get caught up in some creative activities in the city. I got involved with a group called R.E.A.C.H Coalition, doing public artwork. I sort of fell in as the gardener, just doing public, like spaces, gardens, parks, that kind of thing. I did a project called the Gandhi Garden, which was pretty well known. Other than that, I just sort of get in where I fit in the art scene. I'm into a little bit of everything: digital, music, sculpture, building, and I'm just sort of a floater, you know. I came to Trenton and I sort of lost myself and everything that came before that, and found myself in the arts here. And then I just keep losing myself again and finding myself. Mm-hmm. So, beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I'd like to, elaborate a bit on what you said. You made it a point to say that you're kind of doing a bunch of different things, and what you said is like what Trenton is. It's very infectious. So people have a tendency to come in and hear what's happening and then meet some people, and then before you know it, they're consumed by all the things that are here, the history, the architecture, the people, and then it's an environment that helps artists to grow and experience things. And I've been fortunate enough to see your efforts through horticulture and especially the Gandhi Garden, and then also with R.E.A.C.H Coalition and the other projects that you guys are doing, and it's just worked out to be fantastic. So in addition to doing horticulture work, you touched a little bit on music also. Why don't you just throw a little bit out there about some of the musical things that you have been involved with?
Well, I ran into a guy who goes by the name of Black Collar Biz a few years ago, and he's a local MC rapper. And I, at the time, was doing digital music, just kind of messing around. And so we didn't really know how to work with each other at first, but over the years we sort of figured it out and started playing together, and eventually we had this band where he was the front man, MC, but unlike traditional hip-hop acts, it was a live band. So we had the whole band. I played guitar, and I think we called it, Old Soul was the name of the band. And we had a little stint, had a good run. Mm-hmm. We went to Philly, went up the coast a little bit, and just all around Trenton. And that was a great time.
Awesome. And now over to Jim Horford, who is based out of Princeton, New Jersey, but you've been a fixture here in Trenton for many years as well, doing a bunch of different things in the art scene, supporting the art scene, etc. Why don't you give a little introduction to who you are?
Well, I wouldn't say a fixture. I'm an interloper. I see myself more as an observer and a cheerleader. And my introduction to Trenton was the Trenton Atelier, and I came across it and said, this is really interesting, and the work that's being done there and the type of people that place was attracting fascinated me. And was I a member? I'm not sure. I did try to commission a piece of artwork for some people to make, and I quickly found out that that's not the way it's done. They'll take your money, but you have to make the damn piece, and if you need help, someone is going to help you. And that really was a fascinating learning experience. And that's where I think that's where I met Graham and Pete Abrams and the members of R.E.A.C.H. and I tried to, I was involved with that big event, the fundraising, as they were thrown out of the building before it became something more risky than it was. Mm-hmm. I'll put it that way. But it was a really great place, and I've been observing these groups of artists ever since, through 219 and the Hive, and I'm considered an outsider. But I really think the work that they do is quite amazing. As an artist myself, I have a long history, and I grew up in Princeton, but I went to NYU, the film school, and I spent 30 years in Manhattan doing industrial multimedia productions. And then I jumped out in 2001 and went to New Mexico for 10 years. And was involved with the arts there, and I wanted a sense of purpose, and I got involved with the building communities out there, and but then I came back to Princeton to help with my family with my father who was sick, and now I'm still in Princeton. And I've been, thinking, I think I've made a great investment in Trenton, but it's more intellectual than anything else. Mm-hmm. So that's my relationship to Trenton. Other than I also, in Princeton, I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalists. I took an interest in religion when I came back. My parents were very Catholic, and were involved with the Stewart Country Day School, mm-hmm. And the founding of that. Anyway, I came back with a different view after New Mexico, and then I got involved with the Trenton Meeting House, where Graham had gravitated to, and the idea for what I was to do next, or why we're here, came through that meeting house and becoming a friend. Mm-hmm. And what I'm promoting is the Trenton Voice to Ear Festival.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to get into some details about that. I think it's important for people to understand, who the guests are. And to understand that the people who come through and who are doing things in this region more than likely have a passion for what's happening here. And that's what I want to put out to both of you. What is it about this region that either got into your bloodstream or got under your skin that makes you want to gravitate to Trenton? And in your own words, how would you explain that?
Well, for me, when I left Princeton and I wound up in New York in 1973, and this is really what resonates now. I tell people where I went to was Pompeii, and people don't understand, and that's the East Village. I describe it as Pompeii when I got there. One of the first things that I did, and I stumbled upon it, was the St. Mark's in the Bowery Poetry Festival, which was on January 1st. The first one I found out was in 1974, so I was at its first one and its second one. And that's actually what echoed here. And to be honest with you, I don't see Trenton as Pompeii. I do think it's hard on its luck, and I do think it's in a place where it needs to be lifted, just like the East Village was. And if you go there, people, when I say Pompeii, and they don't know what I'm talking about, they say, no, this is a country club now, and it's much different. But I've seen a neighborhood grow, and when I stumbled into the St. Mark's Church in the Bowery on January 1st, my vivid memory was Yoko Ono ringing a bell and saying, "Remember this," and that echoed. And that's what I came up with when I was doing some of the silent vigils with the Quakers. And I saw the space, and it reminded me so much of the church on Stuyvesant Street. So, and the neighborhood reminds me, and what's more is, when I got to New York, I didn't need a car, and I did not know that I was going to the most energetic, fun, and easy places to live. I mean, to me, it was really simple, and to rise up, and I came at a time where it was, most people perceived it as falling apart. But I also came when NYU consolidated to Greenwich Village, and but I see the parallels, so that is one of the reasons why I'm here. And I do see that there is a difference, and there's a difference in the architecture, there's a difference in the way the traffic works, but the energy is here, and I do see the incredible amount of artists. And for that poetry festival there, it's still going on. It's in its 43rd year, and there are hundreds of people who show up. It used to be a 24-hour, started at midnight and ended the midnight of January 1st. And most people want to go and party in New York. These people just wanted to read poetry, and they just one after the other showed up and did this, and it was a beautiful thing. So that's actually what I'm trying to create with the meeting house.
And we'll work on that, because that's something that I think is a hot topic for right now, for poetry, spoken word, alternatives to performing artists. And Trenton's got a bunch of venues already that are supporting this, so this is another one that I think can go into that network of things and maybe even be a culmination, a yearly event. Graham, same question to you, but I'd like to switch a little bit. I mean, you spoke about like coming to Trenton, et cetera, and you consider yourself like an artist, performing artist, visual artist, et cetera, but someone who floats around and gets in where you fit in, as you like to put it. If you like, how would you explain what Trenton has become for you over the last few years that you've been here?
What it's become is like a meaningful place to live life, because the things that I do here, I feel so connected to. It just feels right. It feels like I'm myself. I'm involved in these projects and these creative endeavors. It is really like reflective of just things going on inside of me, and like personal growth and learning, intertwined with the actual thing that's created, if that kind of makes sense. And also on a broader picture, just the whole world. I see the world reflected in Trenton. There's there's a little bit of everything here, just like there's a lot of everything out there. And the issues that are everywhere in the world, I think you'll find quite a bit of them in Trenton, and the way we tackle those issues in Trenton is going to be reflected in the way that the rest of the world handles them, and just the way we bring like our creativity and our energy towards shaping this city into something. I hope that all over the world people do the same. So it just means something to me. That's all I can really.
Well, I think that's probably a perfect time for us to break, but that's actually spot on, and I think that's something that's we'll elaborate on as things move forward, talking about the power that's in the people who are here and who are global travelers, and why they're here in Trenton and that energy, etc. Folks, you're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. We'll be back after a very short break. I'm your host, Jacque Howard.
Men and women in war zones live with the possibility of dying every day. Our troops long for assurance about eternity. You can provide it through the Military Bible Stick, an audio New Testament with real hope for our heroes.
It allows me to hear the word and keep a strong faith in a dark place.
Through tough times, the Bible gives me a message of hope and love and better days to come.
Many nights while I'm out at my post, when frustration and depression set in, I can turn on the Military Bible Stick and find solace.
Give this powerful gift to those risking everything for you. $25 provides the Military Bible Stick for one troop to use anytime, anywhere. Make a life-changing difference for a hero. Visit militarybiblestick.com.
The Trenton Area Soup Kitchen, known in the community as TASK, is looking for volunteers and financial donors to help provide the 3,000 meals they expect to serve this year to the people in and around the Trenton area. Most people know TASK to feed those who are hungry in the Trenton area, but it's much more than a soup kitchen. It's an advocate for hunger. It's also an adult education class and an art gallery. TASK has a computer lab where people can work on their resumes and search for jobs. TASK programs nurture artists, writers, and musicians. The Soup Kitchen helps with housing and job training. They also collect socks, coats, and gloves from our generous donors so that patriots can get through the winter. And like a family, TASK celebrates the holidays. TASK is your local soup kitchen. Come out and eat a meal or volunteer to serve a meal. They serve lunch Monday through Friday and dinner Monday through Thursday. Help provide food, hope, and opportunity this holiday. Make a donation or volunteer at TASK. Call 609-695-5456 or visit TrentonSoupKitchen.org. Happy holidays.
And welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. If you'd like to send an email, it's trenton365show@gmail.com. The website, trenton365.com. And then you can follow us on Twitter as well, @Trenton365. In the studio with me is Graham Apgar and Jim Horford. And we're talking about a little bit about who they were and what's brought them to Trenton. Both of them have an appreciation for art in various forms. And we're going to be talking specifically about the second Trenton Voice to Ear program, which is happening on January 2nd, 2017. And before we do that, Graham, I'd like for you to share your contact information, and then Jim, you do the same. And then let's just jump right into talking about Voice to Ear.
So what sort of contact?
How can people find Graham Apgar and all the things he's doing, or the organization that you're a part of?
I'm on Facebook. Really, I don't put a whole lot out there. You gotta come find me. I'm pretty active in like the old Trenton neighborhood area. The Orchid House on East Hanover is a project that is a cafe that we're putting together right now. I'm there an awful lot, trying to help out with that. And at the Quakers, that's actually right next door. So somewhere in that zone, I'm there.
Mm-hmm. And, let's talk about the old Trenton neighborhood a little bit. Sure. And then we're going to get into talking about Trenton Voice to Ear. But the old Trenton neighborhood is on Hanover Street. I mean, it's anchored by, on Broad Street, Mercer County Community College's Kearney campus. And then on the other end is where Gallery 219 was, R.E.A.H Coalition. But in addition to that, it was called Crisis Ministry. Now it's called Arm in Arm. They're located on that block as well. The Quaker Meeting House is there. It's a few blocks away from City Hall, half a dozen blocks or so away from the State House. And there's been talk about this evolving into an arts district of some capacity. Can you just share a bit about the old Trenton neighborhood?
Well, like you said, it's got a lot going on in a compact space. Actually, over the last 5-6 years, I've been there most of the time, just going to different art studios, starting out with the Trenton Atelier, which was over off of Perry Street, moving to Studios 219 with R.E.A.H Coalition on East Hanover, the Gandhi Garden, several other gardens in the area, finding the Quakers right on the corner there, meeting Elijah, who's working at Isles, also right there, and then he bought this house, the Orchid House, which is also right there. And so it's starting to feel like home now. It just seem to be called to this particular spot. Mm-hmm. And over the years, it's just sort of filled up with all these murals and other cool things that have just been put up over time. And so now it's like my backyard, I would say. Although it's still got issues, and I don't walk around too freely, but I do feel like I belong there. Mm-hmm. Special place.
That's awesome.
As for the Arts District, it's already happening. I don't know where the plan is exactly. I sort of fell off on that. I think the artists, they just need to do what they do, what we do, and the support, it's sort of up to the people who want to support to come and support. Like, I'm tired of going to meetings, honestly. It's taking time away from the actual work. But I think it definitely could become like a hot spot for arts if people step in and say, okay, these are people opening a cafe. These people are opening an art studio. What can we do to support them? Let's go talk to them. Let's reach out. And, if it's grant money, that's very helpful, although it's not really exactly sustainable in my opinion. But it's a start. If you can kickstart things, get interest, it could really blossom, I think.
I'm glad you said that. We'll probably have to drill down on that and come back at a later time and talk about the whole nonprofit world and how that works in Trenton and how it's either sustaining or not sustaining how we develop and economically grow the city. Jim, I'd like for you to share your contact information, and then right after that, I'd like for you to lead right into the whole idea of Voice to Ear, how you came up with it, and what it is, some background about it.
I have many identities and email addresses, phone numbers. Jim Horford on Twitter, and Jim Horford on Facebook. But I've also got a selection of identities that I do a Facebook improv with, and I won't go into that one. But when you go to the Voice to Ear Festival on Facebook page, and all you have to do is look up Voice to Ear in Facebook, and it's a public event, so it should be on Google. And you can do it voice:"ear" or voice-to-ear, and the email address is voice2ear@gmail. And if you send me a message there, I will, and you want to do something with this festival, that's the best way. There's a phone number, 609-415-0450. That's a Skype number, and this was designed for someone else to take this festival over. I'm trying to grow it. We did it we did it last year, and like I said before, it's something that just came to me in one of the Quaker vigils for peace, and it beckoned back to listening to Yoko Ono at the St. Mark's Church in the Bowery, and I just thought it was an applicable thing. That was a poetry festival. This is not a poetry festival. This is a voice festival. You can sing. I learned today with the Shape Note Singers. They were part of the Patriot Week's festivities. But the Shape Note Singers were there today for 4 hours. And I found out that Quakers up until 1930 did not allow music into their practice. And they've somehow worked around that. And you do not, in the Quaker meeting, no one sings, but they do voice what is on the inside. But the practitioners of music are going to be there on Thursday, and that's a 17th century music piece. This Voice to Ear Festival, like I said, was based on the free-flowing New Year's Eve festival for poetry in New York, where people just come, and I'm just asking people to come. There's 4 categories for the 4 hours that we're going to be open, which is we'll open the doors at 11:30, but we'll start at noon with a children's hour, and some of the Shape Note singers are going to bring, well, they've threatened to bring, I don't, they're children who evidently all like to sing. And I'm just hoping that it will be family friendly. I hope that it'll be family friendly all the way through, but last year, there were some provocative things that were said, and adult music or rap was performed, and I'm perfectly willing to let anybody who wants to say anything come. But anyway, the first hour is the children's hour. You can have your child perform. You could perform for children, but it is the children's hour, and then the transition hour would start at 1, and the theme for that is love songs. Now, a song, it can be a poetry, it can be a hymn, it can be a gospel, it can be, and it doesn't, it can be a voice piece. You could do bird songs if you wanted to, and a minister said he was going to do crickets, the sound of crickets, and he had a whole reason why he wanted to do crickets, and so I don't know if he's going to show up. I hope he does. And I think someone from the soup kitchen is going to be singing an Etta James song. I can't remember the title at the moment, but anyway, the soul song. The point so that's the second hour, which would be a transition from the children's hour. is love songs, and the third hour I'm now changing to just something that are teachings, and it can be rap, it can be anything, it can be another. You can sing a hymn, a gospel tune, in this third hour. It's called Drama and History on the flyer. If you go to the website trentonquakers.org, you'll see the description of the 4 categories. And so 3 o'clock is more of a, if you have a lesson that you've worked out, I'm just throwing that out to people. It's a framework, and the 4th hour is a free-for-all, and that means anything goes, and it can be rap. Now the key is there is no instrumentation. Do not bring a guitar. Do not bring,
drums or anything.
Anything.
No musical instruments.
It's just the voice, and I'm trying to elevate with this festival people who want to express themselves using their vocal cords, and I consider the whole event an expression of devotional sound. People who are working on the craft of spiritual and devotional sound. Now, that may be off-putting to some people. One of the artists who came last year, I don't know where, I hope he comes back, Levi 609, he did an amazing rap. To me, and this goes with many of the artists that I see devotional work. When I see these graffiti works, the paintings that are put up at artworks, the art all night, to me, everything there is devotional. And that's the theme. This is not a Quaker event. It's a non-denominational event. You can bring your denomination to this place. It is open, and you are invited to do whatever you feel most dedicated to. So that's the general.
And what are you trying to accomplish by this? I mean, of course, there's an appreciation that you have for the artistic expression of voice in some capacity. But what are you expecting to have? Because, again, Trenton's got a lot of creative things happening, a lot of different expressions of art, whether it's mural arts, graffiti arts, fine arts, music, etc. What are you expecting, or your intentions with this event?
I keep hearing this word diversity, and I am trying to open a door to a diverse celebration, and everyone's got their own ideas, and I'm involved with several. I'm personally a seeker of the spirit.